Thanks for stopping by at Twisted Art Designs. Today's positive word is cheerful. So yesterday I got myself into an uptight snit over something, and I woke up this morning saying, okay, I've got to get back on my positive track, and so I need to use the word cheerful. So ways of becoming cheerful after you've been stressed is put on some fun music and dance and laugh. Find something that makes you laugh. Send somebody a joke. Find a way to be cheerful to get yourself out of a funk. So get out of a funk today, be cheerful, spread some love, and now let's make some art. So today's video, I'm going to do another steampunk using my Steampunk FaceUps collage sheet. I'm going to create some steampunk characters and maybe use the ones that I created in the last video and do a page layout. So I just thought I would share with you some ideas using these fun steampunk characters, especially the guys. I want to do some cute guys steampunk images today. So let's get started and have some fun. So I'm looking through a 2018 GQ magazine looking for men's fashion that I can use to go with my men's steampunk faces on the face-up sheet. I need some male bodies, and this one's kind of cool. He's got his arm around his back, but he's holding a microphone, and this right here would be the perfect place to like hang some binoculars or something kind of cool and funky. So this one would be great. I even like this image. It is kind of bright and colorful, but that would be really fun with one of the steampunk guys on this action body here. He's doing some really good action movements, so that would be cool. And I love his really long red coat, so that would be a great one to use. This one would be great also. Look at that tweed long coat. That would be a great steampunk guy. So there's a lot of fun things in here. I'm gonna cut some of them out and cut the face-up faces out and try the different heads on the bodies and see which one I like, and then I'm gonna decorate it further to make it even more a steampunk character. I chose this image from the GQ magazine. I chose this guy, and then I cut the hat off of this guy. I think on this one I'm going to use the blue hat and put that on him, and I'm using the top hat. So they're very interchangeable. I've mentioned that before, but just showing you, look at how cool the hat looks when you put it on this guy, and look how cool that looks on the magazine image. Oh my gosh, so cool. Look at this. Couldn't be more perfect. So that's what I'm going to piece together. And so I've decided to use this girl that I created in the last video. She's going to go down in this corner here. He's going to go over here. And I think I'm going to do a cutaway edge on this side, and then it'll show what's on the next page. But for my background, in the last video, I just described how I did this grunge background, and a subscriber named Wild Paisley asked if I would show it step by step instead of just describing it. So I'm going to do the same technique on this page, and I'll show you how I did it. So for this technique, I use a piece of plastic. This is a piece of a grocery bag from Fry's. I cut them up and make them into squares that I can use underneath my pages, and they're perfect plastic for this. And then I'm using Distress Oxide inks. I've got Fossilized Amber, Rusty Hinge, Walnut Stain, and Black Soot. And you can do it one at a time. I'll just show you one at a time. You just take the ink and you put it down on your piece of plastic. And then you take your spray bottle and mist it. You can use as little or as much water as you want to, and then you just turn it over and start smushing. You just smush the color down, and you can, I like to take my hand and run it over the plastic, and that spreads it out, and it makes this really cool patterns like this. And you can take your heat tool and dry in between each one. I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to just move on to the next color, but now just in another spot on my plastic, do my second color. Same thing. And then just go right over where you were and start patting it down and move it around And then I like to take and run my hand over the plastic and peel it off. And the more you do, the grungier it gets. And the more you keep adding, the better it gets. And then when there's some left on your page, I just mist it again. And keep going until it's all gone off my plastic. I think that spreading it out really is what makes that, look how cool and grungy that looks. And you just keep doing it until you like the results and you get it looking the way you want it to look. So look at that. I love that background. It looks marbled. It looks grungy. It's just so pretty. And one thing you need to remember that with Distress Oxide, it is water activated. So if I were to wet this and rub my finger over it or put anything wet on top of it, like if you're putting down a focal point with matte gel medium and you're using a brush, this is going to move and then it's going to smear onto your focal image. So if you want this, if you love this and you want it to stay exactly the way it is, the next thing you're going to want to do is spray it with a workable fixative. So I use a Krylon matte finish. This is a matte finish fixative spray. Take this outside, mist it, let it dry. It only takes a minute to dry, and then it's not going to be reactive when you put down your focal point with matte gel medium, or you use Mod Podge, or you're using maybe Neocolor 2 with a water brush or anything wet. It's not going to move because you have sealed it with your spray. And I think that's the most important thing about your art supplies. Play around with them and get to know how they work. And, you know, go online and see some Distress Oxide videos on different ways of using them. And even Tim Holtz talks about them being water reactive and movable. But if you know your art supplies and you know how to work with them, you're going to have a lot more success with your pages. Now, another thing you can do is to get some light on the subject here, is to come in with a brush like this. This is just one of those soft applicator brushes. I'm going to pick a color, probably ground espresso, to come in and pick up some ink just on a brush. And wherever it's kind of too light and you want a little color, you can also rub some color in there. Like right here, it's missing some color. So just add some color this way with a brush to add a little bit more to your grunge page, and see how it's filling in those places that needed some color. But it's more of a soft, subtle look. Do it in a brush round stroke like this. And then see what that does. Is it filled in like that? Like up here, it's missing some, but I'm going to be doing a cutaway, so I don't need anything over there. But you can just come in and add a little hint more of color, maybe along your edges, like that, to make your edges. But you can use it this way too with a brush. So now I'm going to just kind of make some fun ephemera stuff to go into the background and start layering my background. And I had this picture frame, this die cut picture frame. I cut a piece of plastic to go in it that was just from packaging. I've got some striped pattern paper, this bug that is like a steampunk fly that is all made out of gears and things, and then this cool piece of grungy looking paper. And so I'm going to layer that and make a really cool thing to go in the background and just play around and see what I can come up with. So this turned out really cool. Look what I did. It's all behind that plastic, and I layered that funky paper, and I colored the mechanical bug and used some metallic paints and things and put a shadow behind them and made this cool thing. And I'm going to punch a hole and put an eyelet in there, set an eyelet, and either put a chain or a string or something. And then I'm going to just layer it with things like this, little bits of ephemera that I have. Just kind of do some layering to put it in the background. That's going to look really fun. So as I mentioned on the last video that I was going to put some eyelets and lace up this top part of her corset dress, I did. I put 3 small-sized eyelets using my crocodile tool, And then I set green eyelets, and I used green, really fine green silk ribbon and made a bow. It looks so cute. And now I'm gonna set an eyelet here. And so what I'm gonna do is just set this on the smallest size for small eyelets and poke my hole and then move it to the setting position. And I put in a gold eyelet, and now I'm just gonna use my little tool to set the eyelet. Easy peasy, and that's gonna look really cool. I'm gonna put some kind of a string or even a chain on the top of it at the top of this page. So it's coming along. So for this I used metallic gold thread, and I did 3 different strands of it. I looped it around through that eyelet, and then I braided it. So that's what's going to make this cool thing that's going to hold this piece. I have all these cool paper gears, and these are done with metal dies that I have. I've got a bunch of different metal dies of gears. And so I've cut out a bunch of them out of a thin cardstock of brown. And what I'm going to do is I'm laying them out on my book to layer some gears onto this collage, but I'm going to do some fun things with those. So now I want to add some shine and some color to my gears. So I'm going to use embossing powder. I have copper, mirror platinum, Ranger liquid platinum, and gold. And they're ultra fine embossing powders. I have my tidy tray. And then I love to use Ranger Distress embossing ink. So what I'm going to do is to just emboss these gears in colors. So first thing to do, I have paper down, and I'm going to ink it with embossing ink. And then I'm going to use my tweezers to hold it while I heat it with my heat tool. And I'm going to take some copper embossing powder, sprinkle it over, and then I'm going to heat it with my heat tool. You want to hold it with tweezers because it's going to get really hot. And then you just watch the embossing powder melt. And now I have a shiny, glossy copper gear. I'm going to do that with all these gears in different colors. You can also do the same thing with mica powders. So this is a mica powder in red brown. I'm going to do the same thing by putting the Ranger Distress embossing ink on my gear. Make sure it gets covered well. I'm going to put it right on here and push it down. I want to make sure that paper really gets a good amount. Okay, so it's really, you can see that it's wet with the ink. This is just embossing ink. And so now I'm going to put it in the tidy tray, and I'm going to cover it with red brown mica powder. So pretty. And I'm still going to heat set this. Mica powder is not like embossing powder, but I'm still going to heat set it because that was embossing ink. And look at that beautiful copper gear using mica powder. gorgeous. That is going to look so cool on my page. And you could take this also and spray it with your fixative spray. That's what I would suggest, so you don't get any transfer from your mica powder. But look at that gear. I mean, that is just so cool. And a totally different look than embossing powder. So that's what's going to be kind of fun about it, is I want my gears to all look different. Now I'm going to try a different technique. This is using coffee colored mica powder. And I'm going to use a soft brush and some Gamblin Cold Wax Medium. So I use this on my pages to keep them from sticking, but you can also use it for a resist technique with your mica powder. So I'm going to just rub it all over the gear that I've punched out with my die. And then afterwards I'm going to take that soft brush and brush the mica powder over the gear. And it's a totally different look. I like this color of coffee. It is such a pretty color. It's almost like a deep, deep, dark bronze. Chocolatey browns. It's really pretty. So I'm just brushing 2 layers. And look at what that looks like. It's so gorgeous. I absolutely love it. And here's a little fun bonus tip I figured out too and discovered. I had some of the mica powder on my non-stick worksheet, and I wiped it off with a baby wipe. And then I thought, I got an idea. This was handmade paper, and if I take this baby wipe with that mica powder on it and go over it, look what happens. I get a beautiful copper sheen. So I can go up here on this one and do the same thing anywhere on the page. Really, it doesn't have to be that handmade paper. I just thought the texture of it, it's going to pick it up. Look at that beautiful color and sheen it left from the mica powder on the baby wipe. It even works on the background paper. So that's a really fun thing to try. The skin tone on the magazine image to me was a little bit too ochre, so I'm using the Shuttle Art acrylic markers. I'm using the R3. I thought I would just come in here and just brush on a little bit of acrylic paint to make it a little bit brighter. This is a little bit pink, but I used this Shuttle Art marker in an R3 to go over her skin. It was about the same color from this book image. It was the same color almost as the tablecloth. It was just too toned down for me. I wanted it to pop a little bit. So I used this color and just brushed on some paint over her body and her arms. And then I used a Prismacolor pencil in Nectar to just give it some shadowing. And it made it a lot better. I like it much better. It stands out more. These Shuttle Art markers are fabulous. I have a video on when I received them in the unboxing. They have a brush tip and they're automatic feed. So you just shake it and then just start using it. You don't have to pump it or prime it. They work great, and the paint went on so beautiful and so smooth on that image. I just can't even believe. When you're brushing it on, you're thinking, oh, I can see brush strokes. And then as it dries, all the brush strokes disappeared and it's just smooth as butter. So I really, really am enjoying these Shuttle Art paint pens. And then I do like to take a colored pencil and come back in and over that Shuttle Art paint. It's acrylic paint and it takes colored pencil really well. So then you can come back in and add some shadow like that. Super fun. I've added the gears, and now the last step that I like to do is to take a charcoal pencil and then a little, this is a little brush that I cut off and made into like a little scrubber, and I love to add some cast shadows under things. So like right here, I could come and just put a little charcoal and then use the scrubber brush to blend it out. I've shown this a lot in my videos, but I think it just adds a little interest to it. It makes it not so flat. Makes those three-dimensional elements pop up even more. So if you see like underneath there and around the gears and things, I don't know, I just think it adds a lot of interest to it, like that. I cut out the side of the page over here all along the guy, and so now whatever I put on this next page is going to show through onto this page. I love to do images on the edge like that and do borders that are kind of fun. So this has turned out really fun. I love it. I had fun doing it. I hope you've enjoyed watching my process as I kind of collage this and put it together, and to give you some ideas of ways to use those face-ups, the Steampunk FaceUps. I think I might even take some tracing paper and put it over her arm and make one of those wild looking, leather looking cuffs that have gears and things to put on her arm, so that make her even a little bit more steampunk. But I like her laced up corset and her three-dimensional goggles, the collage things in the background, my die cut images that I punched out that were gears, and the clock image. She's got a bird cage that's empty, and the bird is over here on this guy's finger. Just some really fun stuff. I love this that I collaged and then put in that frame behind some plastic. And it just came together, and it looks really fun and funky. I love that background. It was fun to do, and I hope you enjoyed watching me, and maybe you learned a technique. If you're not doing steampunk and you just are watching to maybe learn something or try something you haven't tried, using the mica powders, or maybe using embossing powder to distress, to do those embossed gears, a lot of fun things. Using glossy accents to make the lenses and the glasses, and the lenses and the goggles, just little fun things like that. Those are the things that make your art journal pages just really come to life and have a lot of interest to them. So thanks for stopping by, and all the supplies I used will be listed in the description box, along with the link to the face-ups if you're interested in those. And I've shown them in another video where you can, if you're not into steampunk, you can still use those face-ups to make fun characters in your art journal that aren't steampunk from the same images. So have a good time, go make some art, because art soothes the heart. Thanks for stopping by today.